The 2025 carnival season continues to be celebrated in Latin America and the Caribbean. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Qatar and Egypt have denounced Israel for violating the ceasefire agreement and strongly condemned the Zionist blockade of humanitarian aid. And 27 EU leaders met Sunday in the United Kingdom to support Ukraine, granting Europe is a giant awake. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The Carnival of Cádiz is one of the most popular and emblematic festivities in Spain, known for its satirical, festive and participative character. From Andalusia, our colleague Sergio Rodrigo with the report.
Cádiz, Puerta de Europa. Cádiz Marinera.
Cádiz, gateway to Europe, Cádiz Sailor, Andalusian Corner, and Cathedral Carnival. This winter festival celebrates life, meat, and freedom before Lent, but in this Andalusian richness, it is the seat of social criticism.
In the
second half of the 19th century, the groups that were free in origin, the groups arrived on carnival days and went out to the streets to sing what they wanted. We knew that there were already political issues because censorship began to exist. Who creates censorship? Who creates the contests? Well, the councillors, the mayors, because those who are singing in the streets bother. Then the political and social criticism comes practically from its birth, not in this form of carnival, and has had moments of boom and more difficult moments.
The Great Fayez Theater is the temple of Andalusian Carnival. This is where all the groups want to participate. Jonah's group was one of the finalists in the previous contest. Their lyrics are satirical and critical, part of the struggle of the people that makes its voice heard every February.
This is a festival born from the people for the people, and it is a time of the year in which we vindicate culture through copla. It is to feel those working classes that gave rise to popular festivals, and, well, it is a unique moment in which anything is valid, both critic and irony.
The copla is the essence of this carnival, but the characterization and costumes are the common origin of this festivity.
When the curtain opens, even if this is a music contest and lyrics, in the end, visually, the first thing you do is look at the person's face. Then we have proven on more than one occasion, and it is seen that a good makeup is a good staging, and a good costume will always give you more points, and will always bring you much more. There are groups that are very good, but have been wrong to look bad with the makeup or costume, and in the end you liked it a lot, but you did not like it visually.
The great moment arrives. After months of preparation, rehearsal and hours of work, the great moment of stepping on the boards of the Cathedral of Carnival arrives. The Carnival of Cádiz is the cradle of political, social, and cultural criticism that is addressed through witty and biting lyrics, which comment and satirize from local to global issues.
Los orígenes del carnaval de Cádiz.
The origins of the Carnival of Cadiz go back centuries, but the Civil War and the Franco dictatorship left Cadiz without carnival for a decade.
In the years of the Second Republic, the contest was strengthened, but the cut came with the Civil War. The dictatorship first banned the carnival in 1937 in the middle of the war, and then when the war ended in 1939 and after the birth of what was to be the carnival of 1940, there came the total prohibition, which was not for Cadiz. The total prohibition is for all of Spain, and that's when practically all the carnivals that existed in this country were lost.
As every February, the Fayez Theater opens its curtain to welcome the coplas, cultural heritage, home of the irony and the wit that every year sings from the people to the people.
And carnivals, as we have showcased through our special coverage, are more than just festivities. They are also a space for social and political demands. This year in Brazil, Palestine was not forgotten. This way, amidst the colorful celebrations of Rio de Janeiro, the absolute carnival capital of the world, musicians and singers raised their voices in favor of the Palestinian cause. In the middle of the crowd, musical groups raised a Palestinian flag calling for peace and the right of the people of Palestine to own the land that belongs to them, and to be vindicated for the years of opprobrium and violence at the hands of the Zionist occupier. And one of the most iconic figures in Brazil's carnival came out on the streets of Olinda this weekend, the Midnight Man. Our correspondent Brian Muir has more details.
It's impossible to talk about Carnival in Olinda without talking about the ritualistic dolls and puppets called kalungas, which according to West African traditions carried down through the centuries are believed to channel spirits. It's also impossible to talk about Carnival in Olinda without mentioning the most famous kalunga of them all, the Homem da Medianoite, or Midnight Man.
Midnight Man comes out at midnight, following an entire ritual full of magical symbolism. This is because it's related to the divinity of our ancestral spirits, and this is respected here.
Midnight Man is a 4-meter-tall kalunga which comes out every year with a new outfit on at the stroke of midnight on Carnival Sunday, to the delirium of a huge cheering and singing crowd. Then it's off, leading them on a 5-kilometer stroll through the cobblestone streets of historic Olinda, which was home to the mysterious figure who inspired the creation of the original Midnight Man in 1931.
There are 2 stories about him, and both are inspired by real people. One is that he was an elegant man who would go out every night at midnight to fight crime. Our second version is that our group's founders liked to go out gambling, and every night around midnight they'd see a very elegant man dressed in a green suit come out for romantic encounters with lonely maidens.
During the 93 years since its founding, Midnight Man has become a symbol of Carnival in Pernambuco. His image can be found on refrigerator magnets, t-shirts, and coffee mugs. None of this commercialization, however, has diminished the feelings that revelers experience the moment he comes out at midnight on Carnival Sunday.
It's incredibly moving. We come every year and there's no way of explaining Midnight Man. It seems like a living soul. When he comes out, it's inexplicable. We love Midnight Man. Me and my partner here, we always come out to see him.
For the last 93 carnivals, the streets of Olinda have echoed with the song of Midnight Man, which in English goes, "Here comes the Midnight Man, walking down the street. His costume is green and white to liven up the carnival." Brian Muir, teleSUR, Olinda.
We now have our first short break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Qatar, and Egypt have denounced Israel for violating the ceasefire agreement and strongly condemned the Zionist blockade of humanitarian aid. The foreign ministry of the four countries stated that Tel Aviv's decision is a flagrant violation of their own agreement. Furthermore, they rejected the use of hunger as a weapon against the Palestinian people, especially in the middle of the holy month of Ramadan. Less than 24 hours before a regional summit to discuss the reconstruction of the Gaza, the Foreign Ministry of Egypt, host of the important meeting, reiterated that only with goodwill and political determination will there be a progress in the talks. For his part, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for avoiding a continuation of the war between Israel and Palestine. Antonio Guterres affirmed that it is imperative to make every effort to prevent the resumption of this war in the Middle East, assuring that if it continues, it could be catastrophic. The United Nations then stated that it is closely watching all developments in both countries as the first phase of the ceasefire agreement comes to an end. On the other hand, it also insisted that humanitarian aid must reach the people of Gaza without hindrance, with adequate funding and in an environment that guarantees the safety of civilians, including humanitarian workers. And the Palestinian Red Crescent on Monday confirmed the death of a 3-month-old baby girl after she suffocated from tear gas fired by the Israeli army. This attack took place at the entrance to the Jenin refugee camp in the north of the West Bank, which is under siege by the occupier. Although the girl was immediately taken to a health center, she lost her life due to the inhalation of these gases. Israel's genocidal forces have wreaked havoc in this refugee camp, an operation that Palestinian government described as a new forced displacement by the Zionist regime. More than 40,000 Palestinians have been expelled under the brutal attacks of the occupier in Jenin, Tulkarem, and Nur Shams. Syrian de facto government presented Sunday the committee to draft the constitutional charter for the transitional government amid a wave of violence. The coup-monger president, former Al-Qaeda member Mohammed al-Julani, also known as Ahmed al-Charra, presented the 7-member board that will draft the charter. The committee will be made up of 2 women and 5 men with track records in legal and political affairs. The draft will be presented this week before the de facto president. In this context, authorities reported Sunday 4 deaths and several wounded as a result of an attack in the northern region. And Vatican authorities said Pope Francis remains in a stable condition as he battles a bilateral pneumonia. According to the latest statement, the head of the Vatican spent the night calm and well-rested and did not require non-invasive mechanical ventilation but high-flow oxygenation. The 88-year-old pontiff has so far suffered no direct consequences from the isolated episode of bronchospasm on February 28th. The Holy See said that Pope Francis was continuing his daily therapies.
Fratelli e sorelle, pellegrini di speranza.
Brothers and sisters, pilgrims of hope, we gather in prayer to recite the Holy Rosary and contemplate the mysteries of the life of Jesus with the gaze of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Vergine Maria. Preghiamo insieme con tutta la Chiesa per la salute del
We pray together with the whole Church for the health of the Holy Father Francis. May the Virgin Mary, Mother of the Church, sustain him at this time. Let us contemplate the glorious mysteries this evening, certain that risen Jesus is our hope.
Certi che Gesù risorto è la nostra.
We now have a second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification buttons to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back. In Haiti on Sunday, the main leader of the criminal groups, former police officer Jimmy Cherizier, threatened the country's authorities after a police operation in the Bas de Delmas area. Through a video, the criminal leader, nicknamed Barbecue, said that the police action is one of the strongholds of criminal groups in the lower part of the capital, Port-au-Prince, will be replied with similar force. Barbecue assured that he had brothers all over the world and told his enemies to prepare for the consequences and not to forget that force should be proportional. He said he will buy drones and use them as they were used to try to assassinate him with explosives, stating that he could use drones with explosives to kill anyone in the country. And Venezuelan Defense Minister General Vladimir Padrino Lopez announced Sunday that 28 foreign drilling and tanker vessels are operating in the Guyanese controversial zone. Earlier, the Guyanese President Irfan Ali had expressed his concern over a Venezuelan patrol ship which was allegedly threatening the ExxonMobil production. In response, the minister described the 28 foreign vessels as an incident that violates international law seriously. Padrino further ensured satellite records and numerous pieces of evidence prove these overseas vessels illegally exploit and trade hydrocarbons in the area. Likewise, the general mentioned the case of Georgetown, where they have no legal basis or legitimacy to unilaterally make arrangements in a space they can exert neither sovereignty nor jurisdiction. And the 27 EU leaders met Sunday in the United Kingdom to support Ukraine, granting Europe is a giant awake. Despite such Russophobic claim, Europeans need the United States for their development. Therefore, they will submit their peace proposal to Presidents Putin and Trump. The EU members agreed on keeping up with the pressure on Moscow, rejecting Washington's support Kremlin, and backing up Ukraine's struggle for alleged freedom and independence. Nonetheless, they acknowledged that any of those three items could not be fulfilled if the United States stopped its sponsorship, which President Trump advanced not to allocate a single penny to Kiev anymore. And the United States Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, stated the nation will not give aid to Ukraine until its President Volodymyr Zelensky is prepared to negotiate an end to the war. During an interview with a U.S. media outlet, Lutnick assured that everything was in place to reach a good agreement, and the Ukrainian president had an outburst 45 minutes before TV cameras arrived. From then on, he began to demand the withdrawal of the Russians from his country and reparations to the tune of $300 billion, as well as security guarantees from the United States. Lutnick assured that this is why President Trump accused him of playing with World War III and confirmed that there will be no aid without real guarantees of peace. The statements also serve as a response to pressure from European countries following Trump and Zelensky's controversial meeting. In the United States, authorities report emergency as more than 175 wildfires scorched North and South Carolina states. According to official sources, the forest fires registered in the last hours have forced citizens to evacuate the affected areas since they have been consumed by the flames. Authorities also say that this weekend, an outbreak of fire spread rapidly through the forests of South Carolina, consuming more than 1,200 acres and affecting another 3,000. Should be noted that despite the efforts of 410 firefighters and 128 emergency vehicles deployed in the area, the magnitude of the fire has led the governor to declare a state of emergency in the state, underscoring the seriousness of the situation. The 97th Awards Gala of the United States Academy of Arts and Sciences, popularly known as the Oscars, took place in Los Angeles on Sunday. Anora, Sean Baker's independent film about the miseries of the U.S. empire, won the statuette for Best Picture, while Latin America and the Caribbean celebrate the historic Best International Film Award won by the Brazilian production I'm Still Here, directed by Walter Salles. The story, which narrates the persecution of leftist deputy Ruben Paiva and the moving and heroic decision of his wife, Eunice Paiva, is a tribute to democracy from the memory of the dark period of the Brazilian dictatorship. Likewise, the documentary There Is No Other Land, a Palestinian-Israeli co-production, was awarded, whose directors rejected once again the Zionist occupation and attacks on Palestine. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.